You hear me?
Yeah.
Right, good start. Radio Orlinston today. I'm Mike the Kiwi from New Zealand. So I live quite close to the Antarctic, so it's nice to be in a warm place. Because it's going well for you guys today. Look, what I'd like to do this afternoon in a very short 45-minute slot is give you a few thoughts about how I approach the hobby and what I actually do, and then give some a demonstration. So I'll probably spend about 10 minutes just preparing and some understanding, and then we'll spend about 30 minutes looking at some specific techniques. Please put your hand up or wave if you're worried I am talking too fast. I will try and talk at a reasonable speed. I aim to. Okay? Good. Righto, so I have been modelling for over 50 years. Long time, I know. I've been figure modelling for about 25 years, and I've been seriously pursuing as a historical miniatures artist for about 10 to 15 years. Okay? Those points are an important point because they're the concept that I'm trying to talk to each of you about. This evolution from basic skills, skilled through to an artist. And that's what I'll be talking about as we demonstrate. First, before I do that, I've really got to put it out there that I'm absolutely honoured. This is my first time in Malaysia. Loving the place. I'm absolutely stoked about MALCOM, and particularly for me, I've got to thank a couple of people. I've got to thank Ming for the organisation of what's been going on, and also Young Bok Song, who also invited me to be part of this process. It's been very special. Look, it's very rare you get the opportunity anywhere in the world to learn from the diversity of talent that you've got here. And you've got some of the world leaders here at the moment. So yesterday we had the chance, we've got Kaneko-san in the audience from Japan. We've got Darren Han from China. Darren yesterday presented on skin tones and presenting very similar to what I do, and I admire and aspire to be like him one day. We had Kirill from Russia, talking about the basic understanding. How many were at Kirill's session yesterday? Just a couple of us. Very good sound philosophy to understand the basics. Okay, we've got Penny Meyer from the US. Penny is a master, particularly at the flat painting. And then we've got Calvin Tan, Singapore's own Mr. Tan. So all together in one place, it's an amazing setup that we've got here, the opportunity. Not only do we get some of the masters and the very best in the world, but we've got so much of the budding young talent coming through too, on display. So judging yesterday, I was incredibly impressed by the quality and the standard of work that people have produced in their recent years. That's what I'm here for and talking about. For me, why is it important? I'm talking about what, why and how. Why I am here is because I want to pay it forward, and I want to offer my experience in 3 novel techniques. So 3 techniques I will show you that you can apply to any figure, animal or inorganic subject. We all know how to paint hard surfaces and real stuff, but painting inorganic like we are people is tougher. So that's what I will share. How am I going to do that? So in terms of how I will approach it, what we will do is I'll introduce some thinking around what I call the evolution. Okay? Just to give us a sense of where we're going. I'll explain the 3 techniques, and then I will demonstrate each of them. Sound okay? Right. So in terms of the evolution, I'm not going to go through all the detail because you will be able to get the detail later on, but for now, just understand, for each of us we should be asking ourselves, where are we on our own journey? Where do we want to be? Where are we? Are we a casual? Do we just get in, have a bit of fun, have some basic assembly skills? Or do we want to become skilled and practice what we've seen? I talk about being competent and confident. That means we can copy and do. That's where it is. And that's okay. For many people, that's exactly where it is. Okay, I see some nodding heads, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And you can be very strong in that. However, I suggest there's another level where we can push through to artistry or personal mastery. And in personal mastery, the opportunity is to be recognised for a style, and people can say, that's a Mike Butler's, that's a Carill's, that's a Darren's. That sense of others recognise the style. You do your habit, others tell you that's you. Okay? And then the last part of that process is you start using and creating your own tools and techniques or adapting those to other things. So I use a number of the similar things that Calvin does, but I use them in different ways. I've adopted them, learned the materials, chosen the parts, and then moved on with my own practice. So that's the sort of thing that I suggest. Now the key to all of these stages is the ability to actively learn. Constantly seeking to understand what you're doing and deliberately running experiments to test that thinking. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Good to see some nodding heads, especially from the locals. So that's what I will show. So I will show you a technique for each of those stages. Okay? Very simple in terms of the stages of practice. Straightforward. Okay? On the top right hand side is an illustration that I've used to show the parts, and we will very quickly go through those sections. You can get this content, these parts of content, free online. But the first thing is to prepare the surface. Just like getting the ground ready for planting seeds, prepare the surface effectively. I've only put together some quick preparation here so the results won't be as strong as I've had for class, but it will help for the demonstration. The next one is to build the structure. So that's where you're putting the main colour in. That's where you're putting the main body, or you're creating the texture effect. And then the last part is refining that, cleaning that up. So you can get a sense of that, and we'll see it on screen in a second. One thing I do want to talk about is reapplying outside what you've learned. So the skills and the techniques I've used for the leather, I've reapplied for the face. Okay, so on this soldier, you can see he's sunburnt, he's wounded, he's got a strong beard growth, and they're very similar techniques that I would use for the leather, just applied in a different way. So, as I said, you can use this on an anime subject or a fantasy subject. You can use it on the canvas or the bags on an armour or a ship. So there are lots of transferable. If it's inorganic, you can reapply the thinking. You always go through those 3 simple steps. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Yep. Righto. Let's try next. Last bit, just a little tip down the bottom. Some of you might have heard of the expression, practice makes perfect. That is not true. You must be deliberate and perfect in your practice to get perfection. Tiger Woods didn't become Tiger Woods by practicing badly. All Blacks, famous rugby or famous movie stars don't become famous or good at their craft by practicing bad. You don't get better by having bad habits in your health. You have to live in the appropriate ways. So perfect practice makes perfect. Now this is what I'm going to go through in the demonstration. I'm going to go through the 3 types of materials and the way I approach it. Now I'm not telling you to actually do what I do. You have a look at it and adopt the stuff you like, or adapt it, or consider it when you're doing your own approaches. Okay? The first one we'll look at is a very simple, so for the basic person or the basic learner, very simple, oil on a stick, oil paint on a stick, or acrylic on a stick, making string, making long fur, or making thick detail. The second one is using some brush control, and it's the sort of thing a very skilled artist can do all sorts, and a number of the entries have some very good skilled work, just understanding how to use a brush, the tip and the side of it. Stippling is the end, the side is stippling. I invented the word, so it's not a real word, it just, that's what I call it. And then the last one is in terms of leather. Now to be honest, leather's straightforward. All it is about is the right colours with lots of different tools and having a play. Great fun. But that's where the artistry comes from. Okay? Let's get on to the bench and let's start looking at what we're doing. One point here is I'm not a salesman, I'm not a product guy, alright? I've just got the bits and pieces I use from all over the place. All I want you to be able to see is the sorts of things I'm using, and I will explain them as we go. Okay?